when you have somebody that comes to you on your website or in your social media and you're talking about symptoms of the problem, not what the problem actually is, then people are going to see themselves in that symptom.
Yeah.
And then you put a name to it. Welcome to the Midlife Business Academy. I'm Lori Lyons, marketing strategist, business coach, and accidental techie. After years of running a successful website design agency, I'm now building the business of my dreams and helping other midlife entrepreneurs do the same. From strategy to marketing to mindset, we covered what really matters when you're growing a business that fits your life. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Midlife Business Academy. I'm your host, Lori Lyons, and I am so excited today because we have Allison Williams here from Power Your Life Coaching, and she is in the hot seat today. So, Allison, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laurie. I'm so grateful and humbled to be here, being
Yes,
interviewed by you. Thank you.
you're very welcome. This is going to be fun because I think some of the things that we talked about prior to the call, I think a lot of our audience sees this. So I think this is going to be a really good call. I think our audience is going to learn a lot from what you do, as well as some of the things holding you back from showing your true self to your clients. So let's get started. I want you to tell me, first of all, what you do, and then we'll talk about who your ideal client is.
Sure. So I'm primarily a mindset transformation coach. I really believe that the only way to change our lives is to change our mindset, which is based on programming and conditioning from way back when. So that's what I do with lots of modalities.
Very nice. And yeah, we'll get into because you do have quite a few modalities.
Yeah.
So who is your ideal client? If you close your eyes, who's your ideal client?
When I first started coaching, I kind of wanted to save the world like everyone does, right? And then I realized I really wanted to reach out to women about kind of my age, over 40, and women who would need someone to be their champion. I was lucky I had that in my life, but I found there's so many women haven't had that. And that's what I want to be for these ladies.
Define champion for me. What does that mean?
A champion is someone who's there supporting you, they're helping you get your stuff together. I kind of think of, in the medieval times when you had the knights were kind of jousting and what have you. They had the ladies who were cheering them on, and they were often the champion for the knight. But then the knight also had his valet, what I can't think of the word, but his valet, if you like, who was helping him with his uniform and his chainmail and his weapons and all that sort of stuff. So for me, I kind of want to be that person, or I am that person who will be there in the background for you. I'll be there holding your hand, and I walk with you, taking baby steps till you can fly by yourself. So everything you need, I'm here for you till you can do it by yourself. I'm about empowerment and having people to do things for themselves rather than depending on each other
Mhm.
is absolutely what I'm all about.
Perfect. Perfect. So there's a big calling for you there to do that.
Yeah.
So close your eyes again and let's look 6 months down the road.
Mhm.
Where do you see your business in 6 months? Where do you want to go? How do you want it to grow? How do you want to expand?
This is a question that I've, been asked lots of times, including of myself. I really want to reach out to as many people as I can in a number of ways. So I do group coaching. I want to do that. I'm really interested in speaking on stages. I'd like to do that. And now with Zoom and what have you, we can do that across the world. So that's another thing I like to do. And I love one-on-one work. It really makes my heart full when I can see someone in front of me go through the various changes that they've been struggling with. I've lost count of the number of times I've been sitting here crying,
Oh,
either with someone as they've been going through their past and coming to terms with that, and also crying when they come out on the other side because it's tears of joy, and just being part of that experience and their journey is such a privilege, and it's such an honor, and for someone to trust me with all their deep dark secrets, which is often what comes out, is just amazing. I'm getting goosebumps as you even talk here.
yeah.
It just, that's what I was born to do.
So do you feel like you're there now, or what's keeping you from being there?
Well, quite often people talk about being the best kept secret, and I think that's very much where I am at the moment. I love the soft skills of coaching and doing what I do, but the business side doesn't really, turn me on as well. I'm the little girl, or when we used to play Monopoly, I love the initial stuff, but when we got to houses and mortgages, like, I'm out of here. Unfortunately, that's kind of transferred into my business. And so that's a mindset thing that I'm working on, let me
Yeah.
tell you. And that's also some strategies and also some guidance, which is what you very kindly offered me.
Mhm.
So that's really what I want to do so I can get over these things where I have talked about self-sabotage because I think I'm going to do this and then something will happen and I'll get out of it.
Right.
So getting myself out there, I really need to start putting some structure in place, having some systems, automation. Now with AI, there's no excuse not to do that. So I'm really looking forward to embracing all those things that I've been running away from for one reason or another.
Okay. Lots in there. Lots in there. So
I
the
do talk a lot.
so the first thing that I'm hearing is you're you're hesitant to put yourself out there and to be visible. What do you think, and whether it's the processes or just the vulnerability of doing that, what do you think is the root cause? Because you go into deep stuff with your clients. So let's go
Yeah.
a little deep here. When you're thinking about putting yourself out there and being visible, what comes up for you? What are you feeling about that?
I, like many people, am a recovering perfectionist. And one of my coaches says that procrastination is an elegant form of perfectionism. And so those are two demons that I wrestle with a lot. And so for me, that kind of wanting to put out there the best, whatever it might be, I think is often what holds me back. And so, and given I'm someone who works with mindset, that is something that I work with myself too.
Yeah, and we there's the old saying that doctors can't heal themselves. So it's
Yeah.
very, I know myself doing my own marketing is very hard.
Yeah.
So you should know this. You know this, but it's, so I totally understand and empathize with where you're feeling about that. What have you done in the past? What have you done in the past to because I know you've got some social media presence. I'm seeing some fairly consistent social media postings. How are you generating your content for your social media right now?
If I could just go to what you said earlier. So I'm a firm believer that coaches need coaches, and I have had a lot of coaches, and I still am in a few coaching communities. Now, part of the problem with that is that there are various different sort of systems out there,
Right,
and because I love to try everything, I'm a lifelong learner, and I love to sample whatever's out there because I kind of like the various tastes, so to speak.
right.
So my problem has been that I haven't really chosen one system that I'm following.
Okay.
So that was the first part. I'm not sure what. Oh, so I do have a
Yeah.
VA at the moment, and that's the reason I'm consistently on social media. Currently, because she puts out all my posting, and I find for whatever reason when I try and do a video, often my technology isn't working properly. That must be the universe sort of trying to tell me something. Um, and on the other hand, I was kind of do like 50 million takes to do like a 3-minute video. I
Right.
also talk a lot, so having to kind of condense stuff is another challenge. But everything is just about, as you said in NLP, there's no such thing as failure, it's all feedback. So those are some of the things that I really am looking to address.
Sure. Sure.
And each time it gets better.
And Ali, they are very common, especially when we're in this midlife stage. We feel like we have to look our best. We're competing against those 30-year-old influencers with the perfect AI bodies and the no wrinkles and the body parts that are in the right places and all that, the gravity haven't. So we are kind of feel like in our own head that we're competing against that. So we have to feel like we're perfect. I had a client recently who she was working on a video and she sent it to me and she said, I'm going to have to redo this. I said, why? And she said, because I have a hair out of place. I'm like, Oh, come on, really? Nobody noticed that. It's like because she didn't want to put it out there. It wasn't that her hair was out of places that she didn't want to put it out there.
Mhm.
And, and I get it because I'm a talker as well. I'm a teacher as well. So I know, you want to go into that teaching mode all of the time. And sometimes to go into personal mode behind teaching, it's hard to make that switch sometimes
Mhm.
because we got to teach, we got to teach, we got to teach. So, excuse me for a second. We've also got allergies.
Indeed, we do. Something else we have in common.
It is, it is. So, all right, so visibility. So you said that it's very been difficult to stick to a process. For
To keep
right for right now, are you directing your VA and what she's posting and or do you have a plan for it, or is she just kind of looking at some things that you're talking about, or she's kind of pulling stuff out of the air?
funny. First, I just want to say I really don't care about looking like a 30-year-old anymore. I've given that away just quietly.
I didn't look like
Um,
a 30-year-old at 30, so
well, I'm lucky that people tell me that I look younger than I am. So age to me isn't relevant at all. I did have a mother who was very much about standards, and that's probably what gets in my way. But for me, it's less about how I look, and it's more about because I talk a lot, getting it to be succinct. I also tend to stutter. So when I'm doing something that is ad lib, I'm an and that's what I don't like. That's why I then do the editing. So for me, it's less about how I look and more about what I'm saying.
right.
So I just wanted to address that for all you ladies out there who are, over 40. We're on the right side of 40, ladies. We have so much experience, so much wisdom. The world needs us, right? So
Yes.
I'm unashamedly 66.
There you go. We got a lot in common. So,
So getting back to my VA, it's a bit hit and miss, I must admit.
yeah.
From pretty much from the first time she started posting, she knew who I was. She was in my head and in my heart. I could not believe it. This is a beautiful young lady from the Philippines whose English is her second language. The only thing she does is she uses American spelling, which kind of is not who I am. But other than that, she has got me to a T. So for the most part, I've given her head.
Okay.
Very much someone who, as I say, talking about standards, I've gone the other way and been quite a control freak, OCD quite often. However, she has just knows who I am, so I give her her head. Every now and then, when I've been doing some kind of campaign, for want of a better word, and I use the word loosely,
Yeah.
I said, Madeline, this is what I want to do, and this is the order I want to do as well. So, as I said, it's a bit of a mix depending on what's happening in my business or my direction in my business. But for the most part, she is just a wizard who does things by herself with her
Right.
own initiative.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we're going to kind of wrap all this. I'm asking you some questions to lead to a certain
Yeah.
direction. We'll wrap all this up a little bit in a nice pretty bow at the end. But I do want to go and address something because you had mentioned in your questionnaire about your website and to do a little bit of an audit. You also wanted to do some list building strategies, and right now they're kind of tied together.
Mhm.
And you had indicated earlier that you felt your website was a little bit of a mess, and I agreed. So, one of the things that I will say is when I looked at your website, and I don't know if this is something that you're addressing, it was very much about you. Everything, every other word was I, me, we. So, in today's messaging, we want to talk primarily about our future clients and their
Yeah.
problems and the solutions that we provide. And I didn't see a lot of that up front. So I think from a messaging standpoint, which again will carry over to your social media,
Yeah.
if you can take a look from a very, because you do a lot of things, you have a lot of different modalities, but ultimately it all boils down to you were looking at, you're primarily wanted to serve the women who had imposter syndrome. I found that buried kind of in the about. And I'm like, okay, everything that you're doing points to imposter syndrome because imposter syndrome can be a lot of different things.
Mhm.
It can be that perfectionism. It can be, the self-doubt. It can be, a lot of the what you work with. And let's wrap it up in that bow. So when you look at imposter syndrome and you look at what are some of the symptoms of imposter syndrome?
Every job I've had for my whole 40 years in the workforce was feeling like an imposter. And a lot of that was feeling that either I was a fraud and I wasn't entitled to be where I was, till I realized that, you know what, nobody knows the job till they go into it. You've got to learn the
Right.
job while you're in there. Another thing is, there was a time when I'd be afraid to take leave in case people found me out.
Oh,
There are also
interesting.
aspects of where you don't want to put your hand up to do something that you know you can do in your sleep, and then feeling resentful that someone else who's less capable is up there doing that,
Mhm.
right? So, in a word, that's self-sabotage,
Yep. Yep.
not putting myself out there because I was feeling that I wasn't good enough, yet seeing other people, and pardon me for saying this, often men
Mm.
who, believe they can do stuff even when they can't, because we
Right.
ladies think we can't even when we can, right? So
Right.
I saw that ever so often.
Okay.
Um, so those are some of the most common aspects of imposter syndrome. Plus, of course, as I was saying, the perfectionism and the procrastination that often go hand in hand.
Right.
You
Right.
don't want to do it yet because you want to get it right.
There you
So
go. Mm.
that is still something I have a little bit of a wrestle with, but for the most part, I'm okay.
So the bottom line for that, Allie, is you recognize it because that's you. You recognize it because you have it. We all have bits and pieces of it
Yeah.
at different stages in our life. So if you look at that from a messaging standpoint, you probably don't have clients that come to you to say, I have imposter syndrome. Can you help me? They
Exactly.
probably come to you and say, I'm not confident in my job. I feel like a fraud. So those are the symptoms of imposter syndrome. And when you have somebody that comes to you on your website or in your social media and you're talking about symptoms of the problem, not what the problem actually is, then people are going to see themselves in that symptom.
Yeah.
And then you put a name to it. So I think from your website standpoint, if you can reverse some of that messaging and make it more symptom related
Mhm.
instead of you related, then when you go to your about page, that's when you can really highlight you. And you
Yeah.
do this in a way that still highlights and elevates your client.
Yeah.
Hey, I understand. It's the old trite phrase. We see it all the time now. It's almost become a cliche is I understand I've been there. But
Mhm.
it's really true. And this is how we bring our story and elevate our expertise into our clients' problems so that they know that they can help us. Does that make sense from where I'm coming from a
It
messaging
absolutely does.
standpoint?
And I think part of the problem is I haven't had enough input into my web design, because that's the kind of thing I do when I'm talking to people,
Right.
but it's not something that I've put into the website because I've kind of outsourced that in more ways than one.
Right, right. And it's very important because your website, having owned a website design agency for years, I've always felt like the website is the basis of your marketing. That can be the foundation that you build off of.
Yeah.
It'll hold your lead magnet. You drive your social media to your website. So if your website is a really functioning entity for you from a messaging standpoint, then people are going to get on there and go, oh, she gets me. She gets me because she's talking about my symptoms of the
Mhm.
problems that I have. And oh, wow, as educated and as an experienced as she has it too. Wow. Then she's really going to be able to help me. And that's how we can bring our messaging around to serving our clients. So then if we take that and pull that those symptoms, that can be the whole basis of your social media. Is you
Mhm.
talk about the symptoms and you can actually make that into a framework that you can pull all those different pieces in. Because what I find is most clients don't really care how you're going to help me. They just want to know that you can. So you bring all the different, you do hypnosis, you have disc. You have a lot of different tools at your disposal. I'm not looking for you as somebody who can help me with a disc profile. I'm
Well,
looking at somebody that can help me overcome my procrastination
yeah.
because I'm an imposter syndrome and I
Yeah.
procrastinate. So, so if when we look at it from that standpoint, it kind of funnels everything else.
Yeah.
So, any questions about that? Does that make sense to you? Do you see that?
That makes complete sense. And I think part of, because when I have had input, because I'm so much in my head all the time, thinking intellectually,
Yep.
rather than kind of emotionally, that's kind of, I think, has also been reflected where I haven't said, hey, you've designed this website, but it doesn't really talk to my clients. So you have now given me so much gold in such a short time. I
Good.
just want to say thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. It's kind of what I do. I mean, I love the messaging part of it, and there's so much, and I as 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 much as I love to do it, we talked about doctors can't heal yourself. Years ago, when I was redoing my website, the first I put a website up when I started my agency, and then I went back and redid it, and I was going to have this really cool, hip, like, you know, current, and I had all of this really juicy, sexy content, and I really put a lot of time into the content. And my business coach, I
Mhm.
went to him all very proud and said, "Look at my new website." And he read it and he said, "Lori, this is really great, but I have no idea what you do."
Yeah.
So, and I think we get caught up in that sexy,
Mhm.
juicy content without really talking about just saying sometimes it's just a matter, hey, I can help you. I can help you with your self-confidence and how you present yourself to the world. You know,
Mm.
that's a pretty simple way of explaining what you do.
I love that. I think it's a Teddy Roosevelt saying that I'm going to butcher. So please forgive me, Mr. Roosevelt up there. There's something like people don't really care what you know till you can show them how much you care, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They care about how you make them feel. I think it's a little bit of combination of all of that. Yes.
Yeah, that I would think of that with Maya Angelou, but you're right.
Yes, there you go. There you go. I knew it was we were, we'll get between the two of us, we'll get the quote right. Yeah,
For
so
sure.
it's, your clients, especially in today's world, they want to feel understood. They want to be seen. They want you to know that you get them.
Mhm.
And by recognizing, and I talk about it all the time, the goal for us, the goal for our businesses, the goal for helping our clients, the goal for being successful is talking and identifying the symptoms of what we serve and how we serve, and then working on those symptoms. Because I think we get so caught up in the modalities and the names that we forget that it's just sometimes it's just the simple language
Yeah,
that can help us. So
love it.
once you've done that, then that gives you a good framework that you can start applying that to your social media, which
Mhm.
in a sense makes that a lot easier for you because you can do that in a number of different ways. If you're hesitant about visibility and putting yourself out there, then you can put your clients out there. I did notice that you have some really nice testimonials on your website.
Yeah,
You those would be great quotes for your social media because they're highlighting and elevating you and your expertise. And, one of the things I've talked about a lot recently is, getting clients without saying a word. It's your social proof that
yeah.
can really speak volumes for you.
Hmm.
And what I'm seeing right now on your website is it's very hidden. It's on a page. You have to go find them. So
Yeah,
I would say help elevate those, promote them in your social media, use a quote on your email signature, and then, you had talked about some lead magnets. Let's do some list building, how to build my list. It all flows into that lead magnet. So it's all, I call it digital flow. It's all you can see. If you're on the podcast, I'm making the infinity symbol. So because it all kind of flows in together. You have content flowing into your website in the form of collecting your lead magnet, your emails, addresses, your social media. You want to send them back to your website so that you can send them to your lead magnet to collect your email addresses. So then you can talk to them one to one because email is still the best way to talk to them one to one. So it all works together. So if you think about it, if you're looking at it from a symptom standpoint, let's talk a little bit about a lead magnet, what you can do for a lead magnet. Because, honestly, there are probably not that many people that are over 40 that haven't done a DISC assessment. So, highlighting and sending a DISC assessment is not going to be a great lead magnet. It's great that you have that as a tool if you happen to catch someone out there who has never done one. But
mhm.
so if you think about the symptoms of what you serve, and you think about the clients that you've helped, what are some of the biggest problems that you see overall as a generic statement about them? Because that's where we're going to find your lead magnet.
Hmm. Um, while I do, just as some context, while I do look at imposter syndrome very much so, I really am about self-love. I believe self-love is the key to all our success in life, personal and business. And as a result of that, dealing with imposter syndrome becomes much better. So my focus with most of what I do is self-love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as I say, imposter syndrome kind of hangs off that. So the self-love bit is really, as I say, it's women who haven't really, they kind of in their head think that they're worthy, but they don't feel it in their heart.
Mm-hmm.
And even
Okay.
if they say it out loud, they don't kind of feel it energetically or emotionally. And so those are the women who sort of come to me, and those are the women, as I say, I champion, because together we peel back all the layers of crud that the world has put upon them, and we come to the jewel in the middle. So they basically say, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve. It's all of those, and I'm getting
Yeah.
goosebumps again, it's all of those messages
Yeah.
that I hear all the time.
So, would you say that imposter syndrome is a symptom of lack of self-love, or is lack of self-love a symptom of imposter syndrome? Because I see them as intertwined.
They definitely are. Yeah, it's a bit hard to sort of, it's a little bit chicken and egg, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah.
For me, though, my own lived experience and through my clients, I find that really self-love is the cornerstone or the foundation of everything. Because, and even for someone like me who had a really great sort of, foundation in self-belief and all that when I was growing
Mm-hmm.
up, there's still that, I would say, our DNA is, we're programmed to not feel good enough. And I don't want to go into that, but,
Right,
so
right.
there is some science as to why we behave like that. So even Maya Angelou and Albert Einstein had imposter syndrome. High achievers generally have
Yes.
imposter syndrome because they have that perfectionist kind of
Right.
ideal. So you're right, it does go hand in hand, but I do feel if you've got a really strong foundation in the self-love, it's easier to address the imposter syndrome. Whereas if you're experiencing the imposter syndrome and you haven't really had any kind of self-love, um, a kind of I can't think of the right, any sort of self-love. I don't like the word validation because I think validation
Right,
comes from
right.
within. But if you haven't had anybody outside of you tell you you're great, it's really hard for you to believe that you're great. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I'm thinking here, how can we quantify self-love? Because some of your best lead magnets quantify it in some way. Either through a checklist, because people love checklists, they like little quizzes, and those are typical lead magnets that will get good responses from your ideal client and still give them something that they will learn about themselves and say, "Oh, I need to work with Allison because she gets me." So, if we're taking self-love and we look at if we could you identify, let's say, 10 characteristics, or maybe characteristics isn't 10, 10 ways that you can show self-love? Is that something that's quantifiable?
I don't know if it's quantifiable, but it's because I've actually got some ebooks on that. Even if it's not quantifiable, because the first step of change is awareness. So once we start seeing that, okay, I have this or I don't have that, etc., then that's, if you like, quantifiable. The next step is, okay, I don't have that. What can I do about it? So I do have some strategies as to how we can flip that. And I just would want to share that here, if I may.
Yeah.
The easiest thing that anybody can do right here and now is mind your language.
Yeah.
The way we speak, we do that without thinking, me included, don't get me
Oh,
wrong,
yeah.
but when I
Yeah.
became aware, I stopped. One of the things I used to say to myself was, oh, you idiot, when I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I go, no, then I stop and go, I'm not an idiot. I just made a mistake. So those little things we do and say without realizing. Some really self-aware people, one of the ladies I was talking to the other day, she said, oh, I've got to do all this before I go because I'm going to Melbourne and my husband's not here, la la la. And I said, well, if you don't mind, maybe look at, instead of saying I've got to, I get to because I'm
Yes.
excited to go. Or I'm choosing to do this because I can't wait to get ready to go and join my husband. So those little things and those shame, blame words is what I call
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
The should, I must, I need, all of those words, get them out of your vocabulary. And my biggest peeve is overwhelm. For goodness sake, people, get rid of the word overwhelm from your vocabulary. As soon as you say overwhelm, your body feels it and
Yes.
you feel it.
Yes.
And I'm going on my soapbox, so I'll just back off now.
But you know what? You just listed 5 or 6 things that you could put on a lead magnet on
Yeah.
how to overcome your self-talk that leads to self-love. So what are the 10, and I use 10 because it's a good
Yeah.
number. It
Yeah.
feels like people are getting something with 10. If you only did 5, it'd be like, oh, I just got 5. 20, it's like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way too
It,
much. But 10 is, I can do 10.
it
So
is.
the top 10 ways that you can empower your top 10 ways to highlight your best self to your mind. I mean, we can play with some language around that, but I'm seeing like a list of 10 things, and some of them you just gave me. It's all in one place, and I can look at it and go, "Oh, that will help me feel better." I
Mhm.
never really thought about saying I get to versus I've got to.
Mm.
I say that all the time. I never realized that was sabotaging some,
Mm.
some of the way I was feeling or really, or you could also put it into, I know you do some meditation. There's some, you could do a guided meditation as a lead magnet that you can do a video or an audio that works, talks with people around their self-love. Let me do a 3 to 4 minute guided meditation, for lack of a better word. You're going to walk me through some of the things that I do that I can listen to every morning for 10 days. And how much better that's going to make me feel? Because you've got a great accent. I'd listen to you every morning. So that's,
Absolutely.
that's another thing. What would people find valuable that they can get a sense of who you are and how you can serve them that will give them, they'll say, hey, I'll give you my email address for this because I find it valuable and I want to know more about you. Because the way I look at email, it's a way for me to get to know more about you as a coach, as a person, as I want to learn more from you. I want to maybe work with you at some point. So it's a way to get to know you a little bit in a very non-threatening way. And at some point, you're going to hit upon something with them that's going to resonate with them. This is, oh, I need that today. How did she know that I was struggling with this today? Let me call her. So is that kind of clearing some things up, helping, making sense for you?
That's beautiful. It's just made me realize I really love collaborating with people because when we do this kind of, helping each other in the brainstorming, it's amazing the magnificent results we get. So
Yeah.
that is beautiful and brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It's sometimes we think that these lead magnets have to be these extravagant,
Yeah.
400-page ebooks, which nobody will read. It's just too much, and
Yeah.
especially in today's, fast-paced world. But if you give me a 3-minute guided meditation that I can download and listen to on my phone, gold. And that's easy for you to do. That's something that doesn't take a lot of technology or process or system or anything like that. And you can put it right there. You've got it looked like you had an email system set up so you can deliver it that way. When I saw on your resources, I clicked on the resources and it asked for my name and my email address. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming you have that system set up.
I must look into it again because that was what I've been thinking. I've actually been thinking that for a long time, how I would love to put up some meditations or even my newer ebooks rather than my old stuff. And I must admit, that's probably as far as I've got because oh my goodness, what do I do with my next steps?
Right.
And I really
Right.
must again engage with my website designer.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's go a little bit in the direction of AI. Are you using ChatGPT or Gemini or any of that at all? Are you
ChatGPT is my friend.
okay, your friend? I know. I know. Isn't it wonderful? It's so how are you currently using ChatGPT?
Well, I love ChatGPT because it gives me images that I don't have to worry about, whether there's a license or not.
Right.
So that's one thing. I also, as I love writing. Writing is one of my superpowers, but I find that blank page can be a real, can stop me in my tracks. So what I do is I do a very bit of a brain dump on paper, and sometimes it's all jumbled. And in the old days, without ChatGPT, I used to manage it. But now I then put that into ChatGPT and I say, make this succinct, give it to me in like 10 points or whatever it might be.
Right.
So
Right.
I use it as an editing and not so much a proofing, but maybe an editing and also a brainstorming
Yes.
partner.
Yes. We're very similar, Allie, because I'm the same way. I love to collaborate with it. My ADHD brain goes in 75 different directions and I have all of these ideas, but I don't know how to begin them. But
Mm,
once I get a beginning and then I can go in and make it my own. So if you're already using ChatGPT, one of the things I would suggest to continue and to take it to that next level is you had mentioned that you're having trouble, you system jump.
yeah,
One of the things you can do is ask ChatGPT, I don't know if you know this, what is the best system to produce this or to deliver this to my clients? And it will give you some ideas of different ways. Because I think that's one of the things that I see a lot with my clients of our age is we're impatient. And this didn't work the first time, so I'm going to jump to this one. So I'm going to jump to this one. And sometimes we just got to let it work. So if you're doing a lot of system jumping, you're not doing yourself any favors
yeah,
by not staying with something and at least giving it a good 6 months to work. And it also gets really overwhelming if you're trying and I'm not trying to say that in a negative, but it is a negative because it does get overwhelming when you're changing systems.
yeah.
So that might be something helpful for you is to ask it, take it the next step and ask it
Thank
what's
you. I have done that in the past, I must admit. There was something silly like, voice,
right.
like a voice app or something. And I was hoping ChatGPT, I think I wanted it to give me the meditation in audio.
Yeah.
And it then gave me 17 different apps I could go to. And then I thought, this is just too hard.
Right.
And so
Right.
I left that rather than follow it through. Like, let me find the best voice app that I could put my meditation on and then put that up as a lead magnet. So
Right.
thank
Right.
you. That was a
Yeah.
really
You're
good
welcome. And I like Zoom. I mean, you and we had a little back and forth because I started doing my podcast interviews on StreamYard, and I didn't like the way it was looking. I just, the purist will tell you Zoom isn't the best place, but I like that I can get an audio feed and I can get a video feed and I don't have to touch it. It's pretty true. And I'm not filming War and Peace. Right. I'm not too worried if the resolution is not,
yeah,
500,000 or, whatever they call it. So I just make it simple. And if that will make it, how can you simplify it? Because if it gets too complicated, then we don't want to do it. So if we can simplify it and get our voice out there,
for
because in
sure.
talking with you today, there's so much to you and you're so personable that you're doing us a disservice by not putting yourself out there.
Yeah. I don't know that because my clients do tell me that. So I am well aware of that. And it is just getting out of my own way.
Yeah.
Because funnily enough, I realized that the penny dropped the other day when I had recorded a Zoom meeting or something. And then I saw the audio and I thought, gee, girl, you could use that audio without needing to, use the video if you don't want it. So I am a bit of a slow learner sometimes, but I'm still open to learning. And so you have now, repetition, I love repetition. So you have now just repeated, the kind of aha moment I had the other day. So
Well, good,
thank you for that
good.
yet again.
Good. Well, that was going to be my next question. What is the biggest aha that came out of our session? So I think you've already answered that, unless you want to expound on it a little bit.
Well, there are so many. I normally I'd be taking notes seriously, but I'm so glad you told me ahead of time. You'll be giving me the notes so I could be fully present just talking to you. So there are so many, to be honest, Laurie.
Good.
Just to say one wouldn't do justice and service to the value I've got from you this morning.
Good.
So this is the last one that will stick in my mind, of course, but there are so many others. I can't wait to get the notes and go back and go, yes, and now I'm going to make a to-do list.
Right.
I used to be the queen of lists, and I've kind of left that behind. So
Good.
that's something to do.
Good. Well, this was a fun one, and I very much appreciate you coming on and stepping into the hot seat. It really was not that much of a hot seat because you were just like so open to it that we didn't get too hot, but
Bring it on.
there you go. There you go. So I want to thank you for joining us today on the Midlife Business Academy. Our guest has been Allison Williams, and all of her information and her contact information will be on the show notes. And yes, we will still put her website address on the show notes so you can watch the progress of that. But I want to thank you for being here. And remember, it's never too late to build the business of your dreams. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me on the Midlife Business Academy. If today's episode made you think, or made you feel seen, share it with a fellow business owner who could use it too. When you're ready for more support, you'll find the link to book your Profitable Path Blueprint call in the show notes. I'll be back next week with more insight and strategy to help you build a business that truly fits your life and one of your dreams. We'll see you next time on the Midlife Business Academy.